All right, let's jump right in. You know how we're always looking for the latest life hacks or productivity guides? Well, what if some of the most powerful skills for really mastering our inner world come from an ancient text? Today, we're going to unpack the Srimad Bhagavatam, not as some dusty old book, but as a practical manual for your life right now.
And that's the key right there. This isn't just about stories from long ago. It's a living, breathing guidebook. Inside its verses, we find these timeless skills, shown to us by some truly unforgettable characters. It's really a complete toolkit for navigating our lives, both inside and out, with a real sense of purpose and clarity.
So, where do we even begin? Well, like with any strong building, it all starts with the foundation. The first set of skills we're going to explore are all about creating a stable, resilient inner mindset, one that can, withstand any storm that life throws at you.
Now, these three skills are totally interconnected. They build on each other. See, faith gives you the conviction to really listen. That deep listening starts to purify your consciousness. And with a purified consciousness, well, that's when constant awareness becomes possible. So let's break each one down.
To really get this, just look at the story of King Parikshit. So he's told he has only 7 days to live. 7 days! What would most of us do? I mean, probably panic, right? Despair? But Parikshit, he chose faith. Instead of freaking out about his death, he used his last moments to focus completely on understanding the divine. He literally turned his ultimate crisis into his ultimate opportunity. Now that is Shraddha.
So what did Parikshit do with that powerful faith? He sat down to listen. He engaged in what's called Shravanam. He listened with absolute devoted attention as the great sage Shukadeva spoke. And this wasn't just passive hearing, like having something on in the background. No, this was an active absorption of wisdom that completely purified his heart and pointed him toward his true spiritual goal right at the very end of his life.
And that experience naturally leads us to smaranam, or constant remembrance. For this one, think about the child Prahlada. His own father, a super powerful demon king, was threatening him with fire, with weapons, with every terror you can imagine. And when his father asked, "Where is your God?" Prahlada just calmly replied, "He is everywhere." Now get this, that wasn't just a nice belief he had. It was a constant, lived awareness that gave him perfect peace, even when he was facing mortal danger.
Okay, so once that inner foundation is solid, how does it actually show up in our lives? How does it translate into our actions? Part 2 is all about that, the practical application. It's about how we act, how we react, and how we shape our character out in the world.
First up is vairagya, or detachment. Now, this is a big one, and it's often misunderstood. Look at King Bharata. This guy gave up an entire empire. But the crucial point here is why. It wasn't because he hated his kingdom or thought the world was evil. Not at all. It was because he loved a higher spiritual purpose more. So you see, detachment isn't about rejection. It's about reprioritization. Let's circle back to Prahlada for just a second. After his incredibly cruel father was finally defeated by a divine power, Prahlada had every right to feel relieved, right? Maybe even a little bit of, "I told you so." But his immediate response was, well, it was extraordinary. He asked for mercy for the very person who had just tried to kill him. This is the skill of kshama, or forgiveness. It's that profound strength to choose compassion when every single instinct in your body is screaming for reaction or for revenge. And what's really amazing is that it's a power that doesn't just free the person being forgiven, it frees you, the one who is doing the forgiving. All right, so how do we tackle that tricky thing called the ego? The Bhagavatam points us to the path of dasya bhava, or humble service. Just think of Hanuman. Every single thing he did was in selfless service to Lord Rama. He never looked for credit, he never wanted a pat on the back, he only wanted to serve. The idea here is that when our focus shifts from "what's in it for me" to "how can I help?", the ego just naturally starts to dissolve. And what about real power? The Bhagavatam introduces us to Rishabhdeva. This character walked through the world completely indifferent to praise or insult, to heat or cold. He had achieved Atmanyam, perfect self-control. And the lesson here is powerful. The greatest empire we could ever rule is the one inside of us, our own mind, our senses, and our reactions. This brings us to our final and maybe the most profound set of skills. After we've built that foundation and refined our actions, we arrive at the art of letting go, the art of surrender.
I want you to really think about this for a moment. We all face these times, right?
Problems that are so big, so overwhelming, that our own efforts and our own intelligence, they're just not going to cut it. So what happens then?
The story of Gajendra just illustrates this so brilliantly. Here you have this mighty elephant, Gajendra, trapped by a crocodile. He fights with everything he's got for 1,000 years. But eventually his strength just gives out. It's only at that exact moment, that moment of complete powerlessness, when he cries out in total surrender, that divine help arrives. Surrender begins right where our own strength ends.
But, surrender isn't always some dramatic cry for help. Sometimes it's the quiet discipline of trust. This is Guru Nishta, which is faith in a guide. The young prince Dhruva Maharaj was given a simple set of instructions by his guru Narada, and Dhruva followed them with such intense, unwavering focus that his guru's words literally became his entire reality, his whole vision.
So what is the highest expression of this entire path? What's the pinnacle? This quote just captures it perfectly. It's not about complex philosophy. It's not about some kind of transactional prayer. It's something much, much simpler and way more profound.
This is Ananya Bhakti, or pure, unmotivated love. The best example of this is the gopis of Vrindavana. When they heard Krishna's flute in the middle of the night, they didn't do a cost-benefit analysis. They didn't think about logic or what the neighbors would say. They simply ran towards the sound, pulled by an irresistible, selfless love. That complete absorption is presented as the ultimate skill.
So, we've journeyed through faith, through action, and through surrender. But the real takeaway here is that these aren't just ancient stories. They're a practical, living toolkit for anyone, right now, who's seeking to navigate life with greater purpose and peace.
So just to recap, it all starts with building that solid inner foundation of faith, listening, and awareness. From there, we walk the path of action, transforming our character through detachment, forgiveness, service, and self-control. And finally, we learn the highest art, to surrender, to trust our guides, and to open ourselves up to pure, unconditional love.
Look, these are more than just concepts. They're skills meant to be practiced. They're skills for the soul. So as we close this out, the real question isn't just about what you've learned, but what you're gonna do. Looking at this toolkit, which one of these skills really speaks to you right now? Which one will you practice first?